Hey everyone, my name is Sean Cecil from the Oculus Institute, and today I'm here to teach you about bipolar fear. So one phenomenon that I've noticed when I work with clients is that they'll be afraid of a certain thing, but they'll also be afraid of not getting a certain thing. So for example, they might be afraid of failure, but they're also afraid of success, right? And this is quite the pickle because it's a no-win situation, right? No matter what you do, you're screwed, right? You're either going to be successful or fail, and either way, you're pushing into one of these fears. And what I've found is that it causes people to go into this anxious analysis paralysis state where they're going around and they're looking for information and they're trying to do this and they're always thinking about it, but they'll never actually take action because they're trying to crystallize where they are so they don't move towards either side of the fear. And that's a recipe for external stagnation, but it's also a recipe for internal decay and getting really, really, really frazzled. So what's the key to this? Let's say that you're somebody who is in this position. Maybe you're afraid of success and you're afraid of failure. How do you get around that? So one solution might be to say, hey, listen, I'm going to just pick one, right? A lot of people will tell you, well, just pick one and go for it, right? And there are two problems with that. One is easier said than done. And the second is, if you choose to ignore one fear, but you don't deal with the other, then what you'll find very often is that the actions we take to avoid the things we fear are what actually cause that fear to come to pass. And so whichever one you chose may not be the one that you get. So what you have to do in this situation is, first of all, is you want to recognize when you're in a position where fear is bipolar, right? You want to pay attention to that, right? A lot of people, they just go moment to moment and they don't think about the higher level of what are the patterns that are emerging, what are the patterns that are governing my decisions. So just being conscious of that and being conscious that you're in a contradiction is step one. The next thing is whatever fears are there, and there's going to be a minimum of two, right, in this case, you want to look at what's the attachment, what's the thing that you are attached to having happen or not happen, and what's really at the root of it. Right? So for example, if somebody's afraid of failure, that can very often be a fear of rejection. And that fear of rejection ultimately comes from the egoic mind being attached to this idea of everybody perceiving you as perfect, right? Which is, not a realistic attachment. It's not something that can be done, but it's something where the mind will go. Likewise, a fear of success can be rooted in a fear of other people thinking less of you, right? If you grew up in a household where people said, rich people are evil, then that can manifest in a fear of success because you don't want to be evil, right? So you want to look at that attachment and say, hey, listen, I'm attached to this particular group of people liking me, and if I'm rich, they won't like me, right? And so you want to dig down to what are the attachments that are at the root of each of the fears. And then that's where you can make a conscious choice to release those attachments. But you can't do it at just the surface level. You have to dive down. And then the third thing is it's very important that you release both attachments, right? Because you don't want to end up in this position where the fear, then, you've chosen one and you've let go of one fear, but you still have this other fear, and then the actions you take to avoid that end up manifesting that fear you're trying to avoid. So you want to make sure that you dissolve them both and you get rid of all of the fear. And then from that place, when you don't have these egoic attachments, when you don't have bipolar fear or unipolar fear, one-sided fear, now you can really sit down and calmly put together a plan to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Before you go, I've got a free gift for you. So if you found this video valuable, if it helped you see the world in a new way, and you're interested in building a career that's going to bring you both personal fulfillment and financial prosperity, then I've got a free presentation for you to help you do just that. So if you go to the link below, it's www.oculusinstitute.com/workshop. That's www.oculusinstitute.com/workshop. Then it'll take you to a registration for a free presentation. It's about 50 minutes long, that's 50, and it's gonna give you the step-by-step process to building your dream career. See you there.